Hi guys, Ron Schlutz, and welcome to Sleighted Book Reviews. Today we're going to go through Eddie Fields' beautiful book.
What book is that? Come on, man, you know.
Today we're going to go through my personal favorite book, Eddie Fields' The Great Artful Dodges of Eddie Fields. To say I love this book would be an understatement. It is chock full of subtleties and magic that will fool your pants off. What makes this book so good? Eddie Fields, for me, is one of the magicians where I was first fooled by his magic before I knew who he was. I was at my buddy Jon Racherbaumer. He's a Atlanta magician here. He showed me one of the tricks in here we'll get to a little bit, where he just had me shuffle the deck. I cut the deck into different piles. I listed a card, I shuffled the whole thing together, yet he knew what card I'd selected. Mind explosion. He wouldn't tell me how the trick worked. All he said was 2 words, Eddie Fields, and that's it. I had to do an online search, had to find the book, bought it, read through the entire thing before I knew how that trick worked. And I'm glad he didn't tell me, because I had to read the whole thing before I found it. And in doing that, I discovered how amazing he was. I didn't know who he was before that, and I don't know how I lived my life without knowing. Now this book, it is the 2nd edition. It is currently coming in at about over 150 pages long. I mean, each page, I would read every page. Even with tricks that you might not think are good, just read them because there's something in it that you're going to take away from it. This is the 2nd edition. The 1st edition was just called the Artful Dodges of Eddie Fields. Jon Racherbaumer put it together. Even in his introduction to this book, he mentioned how the first one was kind of like on a whim. He went to Eddie Fields and he said, "What should we do with all this magic?" He's like, "Let's write it up." He's like, "Should we publish it?" And Eddie Fields is like, "Why not?" How cool an answer that is. You're just like, yeah, why not? It's just these awesome effects. We'll just put them out there and see what people do with them. So he didn't really write it in this kind of format. From what I gathered from reading the introduction, it was just kind of put together as kind of like a manuscript, and it was put out, and it was really well received. And then 30 years later, he came out with this book, The Great Artful Dodges, where he compiled the original text, kind of rewritten, maybe the way he originally wanted to, and added a bunch of new stuff. So not to get confused when you're reading it, he wrote it such that all the new stuff is indented in. So if you're reading something that's indented in, you know it's new stuff added to from the original one. I mean, it wasn't the original book. If stuff is written fully across the page, not indented in, it's basically the stuff that was in the original book. So it's kind of cool they did that. And also another tip is when you see these drop caps, these big capital letters, that's also a sign that you're reading some new text. So right here you see the original text and then jumps into a new idea or a new trick. So it depends on where you're at. So it's kind of a cool visual to know if you're reading something that's in the original book or something in the new book. Just to kind of go on a personal note here, I think you guys will find this out. It's kind of a journey reading through this book. I don't know why, it doesn't feel well structured, meaning the book just kind of, it feels like a flow of consciousness, not organized. And that's not a bad thing. It just feels like there were so many ideas, they just started writing and they just kind of put them in a book. It's exciting in the sense of you're kind of reading one idea and then it kind of flows into another idea that flows to another idea, and you kind of get lost what the original trick was, but then you're still just like flowing with all the other ideas. You don't care. Now where there's an issue is when you think, oh man, I think there's an Eddie Fields trick, and you have to go find it. Very challenging. So you end up rereading the whole book to go find it again, which honestly, not a bad thing. 2 days ago, before I did this review, I wanted to kind of crack it open, refresh some of the material. So I thought, oh, I'll take half an hour. I kid you not, it was 2 in the morning, 3 hours later, I'm like, I need to go to bed. Damn you, Eddie Fields, once again. And I honestly read something here I don't remember reading, or I did, I just glossed over it. It's a do as I do type effect, and it is killer. I think it's called Boldly. I just find, serendipitous enough. I actually just flew to it. It's called Boldly Attuned. It's a trick I don't remember reading, and I was like, what? When you guys get your hand on it, flip to that trick. It's a great trick. One of his very bold tricks, and honestly, the very first trick in the book is called Way Ahead to Card Case. I know I'm not the only one loving him, because Danny Ortiz just came out with a version of it on one of his latest download releases. I never can say this, just trick partie. That is the one that, on page 32 for those who have the book, that's the trick that honestly got me into this book. It's the first one that fooled me, the one Josh showed it to me. Estimation Station, You got all his stuff on his glimpses and stuff. And then he gets into his, what he calls his Waikiki killers. He has a great telephone trick called silent transmission, which is funny because it's a trick I learned when I was a kid. Like, I had one of those over-the-telephone tricks. I just never knew it was an Eddie Fields trick until I read this book. And then he goes into just, I mean, it's just too much. I mean, I could literally spend all day going through this table contest. I'm not going to. But for those just saying, just check it out. Now, there's a really cool addition to this book that I really enjoyed. It's called Various Dodges. It starts on page 90. To me, this is just like, I wouldn't say they're not really full fleshed out tricks. I mean, they're presented as such, but to me, these are those things that, as card magicians, that we look for. You go to those to make it bigger and better. And there's one in here, I'm not going to tell you the page. I'm not going to tell you what the trick is. I mean, I've recently seen guys like Joe Barry using it, and I've been using it, and it destroys people. It is written in here, but I'm going to give you a fair warning. You'll read the trick, and you won't like it. But if you pay attention to the principle behind it, you'll realize how powerful it can be. I mean, that's really my message here, what this book is. This is not something you just read to get cool tricks. This is something you get to add to your existing tricks you have today. And to me, if you're really into subtleties, you're going to just walk away inspired on how to take your magic today and just increase it tenfold. I mean, this is the book to do it. It's not written that way, but for me, it is how it's written. It's written to just make you a better magician. As you can tell, I really am a fan of Eddie Fields. He is my hero. As far as the layout of the book is, I mean, the tricks themselves are very straightforward. It's well written. I mean, I've read other Jon Racherbaumer books in the past, and I find them easy to follow. I don't think you're having an issue with these as well. As far, the quality of the book is it's fair quality. I would call it, it's nothing outrageously amazing or luxurious, but it doesn't have to be. The pages are nice and that thick. They're easy to read. You can see the text is laid out just fine. The pictures are easy to follow. There's books out there that are just like, just feel luxurious. This is not one of them, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, the material here outweighs the beauty of the book. It's just the knowledge you're gonna gain here is just, I can't even tell you, it's just amazing. I think you guys are gonna love this book, The Great Artful Dodges that Eddie Fields. I mean, I picked this up at a magic convention for $25. It might go for a little bit more retail, but it's really inexpensive for what the value of what you're gonna get out of it. Enjoy it. Eddie Fields, he's my hero.